so just saw the 4th episode of Big Brother All Stars season 22, the 2nd All Star season. The first live, well, I guess it wasn't really live. The first eviction of the season. Watching the feeds has made me realize how out of order they edit things and how it fits the narrative that they want to show. I don't think I fully realized that before. Of course, I read the updates from the feeds on Twitter and whatnot, but now since I'm actually watching feeds, I have seen that things that happened like the first day are being shown now. But CBS, I am so thankful that we have feeds this first week. I know we usually don't get that, so I'm gonna try not to complain so much. So they showed that whole alliance between Cody and Memphis and that whole group they pulled in. And I don't care. Whenever Memphis and Cody have a talk in the feeds, I really don't want to listen to it because it's just them talking all bro-like, and when they talk bad about Ian, I'm like, rather not listen to this. But Ian looks so cute with his button up and his tie. I just couldn't help it. I was like, oh. And him and Nicole, that interaction going in to vote. So we did actually have a unanimous vote to evict Keisha. It's disappointing. I definitely do think Kevin worked harder and he kind of played that spineless role. He put his pride aside and complimented people and just really did all that he could to stay in the house, and he got it done. I will say I do think Keisha was a target from begin with. I saw that it could go either way, but it sucks. And I am a clown. I actually did think that there'd be a battle back, but Julie was like, yeah, okay, bye, have fun at home, and that's it. So I hate myself for getting my hopes up high. I really wish that somebody threw in a little vote there to keep Keisha and see what happened with that. It would make things really interesting and just stir the pot. I know it probably would have been blamed on Janelle or Kaser, and that would have sucked, but I wouldn't have minded if they thought it was Memphis and then they start, you know, thinking about wanting to get Memphis out. But no, just the boring safe route. And I know it's a game, but just the way that Memphis was so easily accepting of the fact of Keisha getting voted out, like that's easily a number for him, something that he could have on the side. But he just didn't care, which makes me believe that whole pregame and stuff even more. Like him and Cody just seemed so comfortable, and they tried really hard to make that alliance seem like it was just starting in the house, but I don't believe it. And I understand Janelle and Kaser wanted to go with the house to not have as big of a target on their back, and I know she tried to strike a deal with Kevin. So the HOH competition, oh my god, I was so nervous. I thought my heart was gonna beat out of my chest. Ian looked super nervous. His faces, they kept showing it, were really funny, but I know he was like concentrating on it, but he looked seriously disturbed as to what was going on. I was already mad at the beginning when Kaser got out early. I was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm rooting for such a small amount of people in this house. Like the odds are seriously against me. And then when Janelle and Ian got out, like in the same round as them two getting out, I was like, oh my god, why? And yeah, I mean, I had already seen on Twitter that Memphis got the HOH. Watching it, I was so scared. I was hoping it wasn't true, but it was. Don't necessarily think that he would target Janelle and Kaser from the conversations that I've heard before. I do think he's gonna follow through and target Ian because he's been saying that he wants to get him out of the house. Maybe put him and Apana, him and Bailey, I don't know. But that's what it's looking like, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm not looking forward to that house being in power again. I was hoping for a power switch. I was hoping Janelle or Kaser or Ian would get it. There was a very odd sign off from Julie. I don't know if that is a clue. She mentioned the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I don't know what that means. They did show a sneak peek of the safety competition and the cocktail. It looks like it's probably a memory comp. It has something to do with brain power. So I'm hoping Ian plays in the safety comp. I don't know if he will. He has to know he's in danger. He looked really nervous. So he has to have an idea that Memphis won't necessarily target Janelle and Kaser, but would target him. I hope he realizes it so he goes after that safety comp. I know he's been wanting to win lately, but it hasn't happened. So I guess we'll see. I think if Ian is somehow able to save himself, Nicole A is in danger. So I wanted to go over some of the stuff that happened on the feeds after we saw the episode of Who Won HOH and whatever. So apparently the have-nots are Christmas, David, Kaser, and Nicole F, which means that Ian, Kevin, Nicole A, Memphis get to move in back into the house. As we know, Memphis is HOH, so he has the HOH room, but Ian, Nicole, and Kevin are moving into the key room with Janelle. So I'm excited. Maybe some alliance, some more solid foundations are built. So in regards to Memphis's nominations, it's still kind of up in the air. I took it as a for sure Ian nom or Ian backdoor, which is still highly possible. He's between being safe and nominating a threat. At this point, I don't know why be safe. It's all stars. I do think it's probably better to keep bigger targets in the house so they are targeted rather than yourself. He has said he's probably not going to nominate Janelle and Kaser. It's good to have them around. Those are people that he has in his pocket. What Memphis told Cody is everyone outside of our 6 is basically fair game. He says he could put up Janelle and Kaser, but Cody's like, yeah, but you're good with them, so why burn that? Which I'm like, Cody, think of your game too, because I know Janelle and Kaser, their read on the house isn't spectacular, but it could get there with more information and more time in the house. So I'm like, Cody, they could very well be targeting you. But I mean, I'm happy as long if Janelle and Kaser are safe. Memphis says he's more concerned about Day and Bay. It's definitely not going to look good if he puts both of them on the block, and I doubt he'll do that. I think he's leaning towards Nicole A and David, and then at that point maybe backdoor Ian or just send one of them home. He was so gung-ho about going after Ian, and then when it comes down to it, he's kind of taking a step back. I don't know if he's just kind of saving himself or just waiting for a bit to see what happens with the safety suite and the veto. Ian did have a talk with him, and Memphis said he wants to go after the sheep, which by that he means kind of the more floaters in the house, the people he probably doesn't have that much of a connection with. If I were Ian, I'd be scared. I don't know if he is. Ian sees him as a wild card. He mentioned it to Kevin, but he should see him as somebody he should worry about. I think Ian knows he's a huge target. Obviously, he's won before. So I hope he does play for safety. Memphis did have a talk with the people on his side that some of them do have to play for safety, so it doesn't look like they're together. He wants people to still think he is this wild card that isn't well connected and doesn't talk to people. So Ian for safety, and hopefully Janelle and Kaser stay off the block. This is where things are going as of right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment your thoughts. Who you're rooting for? What do you think is going to happen this week? More BB content to come.